Welcome to Moments for Moms. I'm so excited that you all have decided to join us today. We are at the NRB convention here in Nashville, Tennessee, so it might look a little different than our living room set that we normally have. But I have an incredible guest today. Her name is Carley Boyette. She has a show on our network as well. She's a mom. She is wonderful. I've enjoyed spending time with her, and I know you're going to do the same. So grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea and take this moment just for you. Welcome. I'm so excited that you all are here. Carley Boyette is my guest today, and we're going to talk a little bit about God and waiting and when and why and all of those questions that we ask all of the time. So Carley, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure to finally get some time with you. And it's just funny how I think moms, man, we bond pretty quick, right?
Yes.
As soon as we start chatting, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah. So, okay, I know you as Carley, you do Good News and Entertainment on the Christian Television Network, but share a little bit about yourself, your family, your kids, your husband, so our viewers can get to know you.
Yeah. So I host Good News on Entertainment. So for those of you that love, movies and TV shows and all of that, it's so exciting to see how God is working in that space and what He's doing. So I've been with the network now for a little over a year, and it's just been the greatest blessing, and I'm just so excited about the opportunities that God, has kind of put before me. And but yeah, so that's my love and my passion work side. But my biggest pride and joy can be found at home. I married my high school sweetheart, so we're getting ready to celebrate 19 years of marriage in May, and we have 3 kiddos. I have an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, and then we call our bonus baby. Our youngest is 4. And so in a very busy season of life right now, where we're just constantly still having to do a lot for each of them. So it's busy, but it's really fun as well. And I am appreciating the sweet kind of years that they are. And just trying to soak in, as long as they say they want mom and dad around, we want to be there.
I know.
So I'm also chaperoning field trips and doing all the things that I can.
And I'm on the other side saying, you don't have to go to school yet, right? Like, how does a person physically drop their child off at this thing called school? I've told my manager all the time, I'm like, so the first day of school, I'm going to be off that day because I'm going to sit in the parking lot, just in case the entire day. So many different.
What I've learned though, now that I've on my 3rd, is like, you will appreciate each stage, and I know people tell you that all the time and you still have to live it and walk it, but it is so true. Like, I love as they get older and a little bit more independent, every year, it's so fun to see the little people that they are and how they grow and how they learn. And, it's so fascinating to me. You can have kids that grow up in the same household and they have completely different personalities, and it's just really fun to watch. So you're going to enjoy that too. I know it.
I will. It's coming so quickly. And my cousin just had a baby, and I tell her, I'm like, I know you're up all night. I said, but I promise you, you're gonna miss this. Those moments, they go so fast.
Yeah, they do.
And it is funny. I remember being so afraid that I wasn't going to know how to teach Charlie English, because I thought that was my job. I don't know. Nobody told me it wasn't. So I'm like, well, how does this kid learn how to talk? Like, surely that's my job. But now, we just have these. Yes. He told me today, he goes, Mama, you don't work at a hotel. And I'm like, well, today I am working at a hotel. It's a little different, but their personalities, it's just the sweetest. It is such a gift. And I know I was reading a blog that you wrote for the network, and I just kept reading through it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is me. This is the same. And you talked about your waiting season. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, so I talk about it quite a bit. It was such a big, it's a big part of my faith journey, and I learned a lot. God taught me a lot through that. Like I said, I married my high school sweetheart, so my dad is an identical twin. And just the thought never crossed my mind that we would struggle to start a family or we'd have to walk any part of infertility. I think what me and you both really kind of understand about each other is I think our walk with infertility is relatively small. but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It is still one of the hardest roads to walk.
Yes.
So, you know, at any rate, so I mean, we only lived that a couple of years, and it was probably a lot harder on me than it was for my husband. I think as women, we take on a lot more. But like I said, my husband and I, you know, I started in news and then transitioned into, I took a role as a TV host, lifestyle host, and was loving my career and job. And then when I thought I was ready to have kids, that's when you go, okay, God, I'm ready. Like, got the house, got the car. Like, okay, I'm ready. On my timetable, looking back, you know, I realized that's what was happening. And it didn't happen so fast. It didn't happen that way. And as I think a lot of people and a lot of other moms can relate to, once that, you know, seed is planted that you're ready to have kids, then everyone around you is having kids. So when it wasn't happening for me, I was still having to I remember going to a triple baby shower for friends at work, and I had sisters that were pregnant. I had to host a baby shower, and it was toying with that. I am happy for those people, but yet there's still a little bit of that. And I hate to say the word jealousy, because I was genuinely happy for them. It was hard to live with that and work through that. But you know, God, I just kept trying to lean into God and saying, you know, my prayer at that time was always, if kids were not in the cards for our family, to take that desire away. But it never happened. I still had that desire. So I was telling you, you know, when we were visiting yesterday, I think one of my biggest lessons in that walk through infertility, which I love to share because I think it can be an encouragement for anybody that may be on that not even a path of infertility, but just of a search of having a relationship with God. I remember driving to church on a Sunday morning and in that season of life, and just really craving, like, Lord, I want a child, not to dress up and take pictures of. Like, I just craved so much about what it was going to be like to have somebody call me mom, to be a mother to somebody, to have, like, what does that relationship look like that you can only really relate to, that a mother and a child can. And I just wanted that so bad. And I remember we got to church, and I remember in worship time we were singing, and it was the first time that I think I really felt God. I mean, it wasn't audible, but it was like he just downloaded into me what he, you know, wanted to at the time. And it was just the fact of, like, you know, Carley, as much as you want a relationship with a child, I want that relationship with you. That is how much I love you, and I want you. And I wish I could, you know, it was such a big eye-opening moment for me. Like, I got it, but it didn't take away the hurt and the frustration when it still wasn't happening for me to have kids later. So I still had to walk that. And then finally, I remember we had gone through several tests and different things of them trying to figure out what was going on, why we couldn't get pregnant. And I remember finally one morning waking up being so frustrated with God. Like, I was mad, and I was like, Lord, like, I'm giving you one more chance. Either take this away or I'm done. Like, I can't. I was exhausted. I was mentally exhausted. And I got out that morning, and I can remember still sitting at my kitchen table, and I took out the Bible. I'm like, Lord, I need to hear from you. Like, take this away. And I just happened to, I didn't even know where to turn. And I just went to whatever the chapter and the verse was for that day in my study Bible. And it took me to Genesis. It was a day in January, so it made sense that it would take me to Genesis, but it was the story of Sarah and Abraham. I mean, it was literally the story of, the verse was, you know, you're going to have a son in a year. And Sarah laughs. And he says, why did you laugh? You know, do you not think anything is possible? And at that moment, I thought, all right, God, like, I know, here I am crying out to you, and you take me to this story. I know you can't be that cruel, and promise me that. So anyways, as it goes, I felt an immediate peace after that. You know, I felt like I, had to just kind of give it up. And then I was supposed to go to see the infertility doctor a couple weeks after that, and I didn't have to. I ended up getting pregnant, and the rest is history. And I just, from the very beginning, just saw what God was teaching me through that. And then ended up I got pregnant after my daughter was born. got pregnant 6 months later. So I always say, like, God has a sense of humor, be careful what you ask for. And then, and then ended up a couple years later having what we call our bonus baby, because we really weren't expecting that one. But we have our little Wesley. Yeah. And my daughter's middle name is Faith, because she is such a sign. And to this, every day I look at her as an answer, to prayer.
Yeah. I think it's so funny. Like, our stories are so similar. We had Charlie during COVID, so we were all home. Everybody was home, and we actually had just moved into a tiny house. So we moved to this property and had to tear down the house that was on it. So we lived in 500 square feet, and we had been trying for a couple years also, and nothing was happening. And because of COVID, I was able to go walk the Greenway in the mornings, because you're not racing to go to work. And I was walking one morning, and I just came to this place where I just thought, okay, God, if adoption's what it is for us, because the emotional, the mental, it takes such a toll, and you are so joyful for your friends, but you're grieving, and they can coexist, and they do. And what it does to a female, and then your husband trying to walk this with you when you're just skillet cooking something and bawling for no reason. It takes a toll on the whole family. But I remember walking on the same Greenway I walked every day during COVID, and I was listening to just a Spotify worship playlist, and a Rita Springer song came on. And the chorus of it says, "I won't wait for sunrise, I will praise you in the midnight." And I just was walking that path with tears rolling down my eyes, because I thought, God, I've questioned you. I've been angry at you. Like, all I've been doing was waiting until that sunrise moment. Do you know what I mean? But right now it's midnight. This is dark. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm jealous. Like, I'm all these things that I don't want to be. But I just felt like in that moment, like when you're reading about Sarah, like he just lifted that off of me. And again, a couple weeks later, like in that moment, I was pregnant and I didn't know. So I have a picture of me on that Greenway that day, not even knowing that Charlie was already there. And it's just, God is so sweet and so kind, and his timing, like, I joke all the time, like, he has a sense of humor, because we had a home. And then we moved into a tiny house, and I'm like, that's when you thought was a good idea? Surely not. Like, who has a baby in a tiny house? Like, we had to take our couch out. We had to put lazy boys in there. Boppies and swings. But it was his perfect timing. And I just think if it would have happened any sooner, it wouldn't have been his perfect timing. And I think about waiting, and I was 32 when I got married and 37 when I had Charlie. And I just look back at those years and just think, gosh, I wish I would have waited better. I wish I wouldn't have wasted my waiting, especially to get married. My best friend and I used to go out what we'd call husband hunting, because we just were like the two oldest single girls, and we just wanted a husband. So we would joke for each other, and we got paid on opposite pay weeks. So one of us would be the husband, and like, hey. There you go. But I try and encourage other younger women, like in the waiting season, like, God does have a plan, and his timing's perfect, and your story's not my story. My story's not her story. And I feel like as women, and especially moms, we can really get into that comparison and compare ourselves and our lives to other women.
Some of the biggest spiritual growth moments I've had have been in a season of waiting. Almost all of them have been, whether it's a job, whether it's the family or anything. And I think, it's hard because our mind knows it. Like, we know that God is good and faithful, and that's why I think it's a daily commitment that we need to have to renew our mind, and to constantly go to Scripture and say, okay, here's what I'm feeling, but what does God say? Because again, just like many moments I had in my journey, you'd hear from God, and then a couple days later, your frustrations were back as well, so that's why it is a daily thing. And I think that's what God does, is that's when he can refine and work with you. And now I think when we because we're not done. I'm sure there's a season of waiting on something else
absolutely.
here around the corner.
Yes,
and I think
yeah.
as you mature and grow, we will do better in
Yeah.
a season of waiting,
Yeah.
you know, later.
Yeah.
And everybody will have that, you know, on their own timeline. And I can now be thankful, you know, and when you've seen God, you know, I remember a long time ago, my biggest, for anyone watching, I always want to encourage, and what I, you know, tell others is, I remember having that moment years ago when I really prayed to God and said, I want to live a life that at the end of it, I want to have no doubts that God is real. Like I want to see his fingerprints and everything. That's just the life that I want. I don't want to have doubts of where I'm going and that he's been there. And it was actually during a Beth Moore study, I remember many years ago. And I remember her saying, like, buckle up. Like if that truly is your heart and you're surrendering that and you're asking God to show up in your life, buckle up, because you know, he will. And sure enough, now I look back and his fingerprints have been everywhere. And I don't need proof that he's real. I don't, he's done too many things for me to question it. And so that's what I want for others. And so for anyone maybe in a state of kind of questioning their faith, or is he, you know, up to something? He's always up to something, but just ask him. He's not afraid of your questions. You know, he's not afraid of your doubt. He's not afraid of your emotions. We can tell God we're angry with him. I don't, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
He knows.
think there's any, exactly. So take that to him, you know, give that to him. And expect for him to show up, see what he does.
Now, I know his fingerprints have been all over your family and your personal life, but also in your career. Just so you started, tell us a little bit.
So
take us down that timeline.
you know, I started in news and kind of wanted to be the next Katie Couric and go to the Today Show. That was kind of in my mind. I just was fascinated with news when I was probably middle school, high school. And that was the path I started. My first job was in North Carolina, was a reporter, then a morning anchor. And then, I don't know, as I got older, you know, I realized, maybe I don't want to live in New York there, you know. And then when I made the transition from news into lifestyle television, when that brought me back to Florida, when we realized we wanted to start a family, I just really, I really loved my job. I loved morning TV. I loved having one-on-one, you know, conversations and interviews with people. I just fell in love with it. And then God opened the door. That's a whole nother story of how he brought me. My dream then was just to get back to Tampa, where I grew up, and we had a lot of family there where we knew we could have help with our family and have this village, and God did it. And he aligned, you know, for those in the TV business, or if you know of contracts, it's very hard to get jobs to align. A lot of times it's just very difficult, and he did it. My sister station ended up starting a show that I was doing in Tampa, so I was able to have the smoothest transition into this new role. Was loving life. And then during COVID, God told me to step away. It was time to kind of step away. I didn't know why. It felt very weird because, again, this was a gift. I knew that job was a gift from God. So I thought, why is he asking me to give it up? This was from him, and I loved it. Everything was fine. You know, it was during COVID, so there were some other things going on, but I just didn't understand, like, God, this was not part of the plan. But then I had that also kind of awakening from him, where it was like, you know what, if that gift was from him, who am I to say I'm not ready to give it up? If he was telling me it was time. So I did, and just felt obedient to his calling. And then now here I am, year and a half, 2 years later, getting to have these amazing gospel conversations for CTN and promoting faith-based what God is doing in this space. So
such a great job at it.
Well.
Yeah, and I just admire you so much for your faith walk and for your outlook on just like your daily seeking. And we have to. And I think as moms, it's sometimes hard because we put ourselves last, and you know, Charlie gets up really early, so I might just be halfway through my reading for that day, but at least I'm halfway through, you know, like God can use all of it. So sometimes we might not have tons of moments in the morning to seek him, but he uses it all. And I'm so grateful. I admire how you balance your faith, your family, your work, and all of that.
Well, I do the best I can. There, we're just highlighting the good stuff. There's definitely days where it does not run so smoothly, but I let my kids in, and my kids know my story, right? Like, I think it's so important that that's how we're gonna see God's faithfulness down the generations. Is I want them to know, what God has done.
And remember what he's done. Remember his faithfulness in the midnight moments, right?
Yes,
so we can be in the midnight moments and be like, but wait, God.
Yeah.
So we only have a couple seconds left here, but tell us, how can everybody find you, Good News and Entertainment, and all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so on ctnonline.com is where you can find Good News there and find more about the program, but it airs on the satellite station, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, again on Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, but all the episodes are on YouTube as well, on our CTN page, so it's pretty easy. Yep, and the app, so lots of places, all the places where you can find CTN and their programs, you can find Good News on Entertainment, and then Carley Boyette on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Thank you so much. You're such a joy. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us. Stay with us. Stephanie will be here and Dr. Brooks Gibbs, and we will see you next time.
We want to connect with you. Make sure to visit our website, momentsformoms.tv, for the latest episodes of the show, guest information, resources, and so much more. Visit momentsformoms.tv today.
The hat. The city.
Hi there, we are back. I'm Stephanie with What the Heck, and I'm with
Rebecca,
my favorite co-host.
Aw,
my only
love
co-host,
to be here.
right?
I was going to say thank you.
Today, I want to bring to you a super simple recipe. Things
I'm
can be
really excited.
so easy and really yummy, right?
Absolutely.
So this would be a super easy dessert and a great one to get the kids involved.
Yes, they can do. If I can do it, they can do it.
Listen, because it's a dump cake. Okay, so we're just dumping things into a crock pot and turning it on. So super simple. So it's a cherry pineapple dump cake.
Sounds delicious.
Yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump 2 cans of cherry pie filling into a sprayed crock pot, right? And you're going to drain the chunk. Wait, what's it called? Not chunky pineapple.
Crushed?
Crushed pineapple. Crushed pineapple, yes. So I'm going to spray, and then we'll drop this into the crock pot heater thing later. I'm going to take, they're 2 21-ounce cans of cherry pie filling. This would be so great for the kids, really.
They can
So
absolutely
easy.
just dump it all in.
And it won't make a big mess. But you know what? Even if there was a big mess, it's okay because it can be cleaned up.
Absolutely.
Having the kids in the kitchen is the best thing ever. Okay, we're going to dump
it in?
Yep, crushed
right.
pineapple. And listen, don't stir it. You don't have to stir it. You don't have to mess with it.
Got it.
I'll take that.
Thank you.
And then we're going to put a white cake mix right over the top. We're not stirring. We're not messing with it, right?
Nothing. Got it.
Yep.
All right, we can do it.
Just right over the top. Very good.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. And then we're just going to spread it out and flatten it down a little bit. Because then we're going to put butter over the top of it, right? A stick of butter. Yep. Just a stick of butter dolloped right over the top. It's a little soft, so I'm making a mess. And then we're going to pour a little bit of the pineapple juice, right?
Yep. Just
that
over
was
the top?
in there. Just a little bit. Yep. A little bit more on that side.
Okay.
And then listen, you're going to turn this crock pot on high 3 to 4 hours. That's it. And it's done. And it's delicious. And I can't wait to show you what it looks like. But I just want to finish getting this butter on top so we can finish. Yes. I promise you, if you get your kids in the kitchen, they will remember it. My daughter and I used to make banana bread all the time.
Oh, all
and
right.
to this day, she loves to make banana bread. And I think it's a great memory for her.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to move
be in the kitchen. My mom and I made no bakes with like the chocolate peanut butter oatmeal.
Yes.
Our favorite thing to make.
Yeah.
So good.
She loves to bake, which I
do.
love her because she loves to bake, and we
thank
make
you.
Christmas cookies and
It's
stuff. So yes,
one of our favorite days of the year.
yes. So I'm gonna move this over.
All right.
I have these little
Get this out of
plastic,
your way.
and look, everything can be throwaway. You don't have to make a mess. You don't have to have dishes and all the things, right?
Oh, it looks so good.
Look at this, and it's steaming hot,
Delicious.
so be careful. Oh, look!
So good.
Look at that. so good. You could put coconut in
Thank
here.
you.
You
Oh,
could
okay.
put pecans in here. Anything to your liking.
I went chocolate ones that you could do.
I went basic on this one just to show you how easy it would be, but it could be so delicious. You're gonna want to really, really blow on that because
Yeah, it looks
is
real warm.
super duper hot. Just a little bite.
Mm,
It's so good and so sweet.
delicious.
You could do portion control with this.
Mhm.
Super
Just a little
easy
cup.
because it's really sweet and it's delicious.
So good.
And it's so easy to make.
Okay, I can take this home, right?
You're right. Sure. We'll
Thanks.
we'll put some in a dish for you to take home.
Thank you.
Moms, dads, get your kids in the kitchen. Just have fun with them. Let them make a mess. You can clean up the mess. I promise you, they will remember it. It will be wonderful, and it will be memories you'll never forget. We'll see you next time. Bye.
The hat. The city.
Moments for Moms is more than just a show. It is a community of moms encouraging each other on this incredible journey we have been called to. Join our private Facebook group to share your mom moments, questions, small victories, and connect with other moms as we all come together in this ministry called motherhood. We can't wait to see you there.
Hey friends, so I was thinking about this show and we were talking with Carley about waiting and seasons of waiting and trusting God's timing, and I just feel like that has been the story of my life. I have been in so many seasons of waiting, longing for the next thing, waiting to be married. I got married when I was 32, and in my head I was going to get married when I was 25. And then waiting for Charlie or a baby, and Charlie came when I was 37, almost 38. And my plan was more around 27, you know? So I feel like I've been in so many different, really hard seasons of waiting. And the thing that I come back to, like when I'm talking to maybe younger girls or like our youth or something like that, is wait well. Don't waste your season of waiting. There's like my best friend and I used to joke, and I think we've talked more on the show, that we would go husband hunting. And instead of like taking that time and pursuing God and the things that he had and getting to know him more, we were just so concerned with getting married and finding that person. And I wish that I can go back and not waste my seasons of waiting. So if you're in a season of waiting, I promise you, I know how hard that it can be and how sad it can be and how hard it is to celebrate for your friends but cry when you leave. I've been there, and I just wish that I can go back and tell myself, you know what, God is faithful and his timing really is the best. So I thought today I would read to you this really kind of authentic journal entry that I wrote in one of my seasons of waiting. I recalled it last night, and I came to work this morning because this was here, and I just thought I'd share it with you. It says, timing for us to have a family. I just found out before reading this morning that I wasn't pregnant again. All signs were there that I was. Excited and ready to take the test, but now I don't have to. So many mixed emotions, some questions. Why would you allow all of the signs to happen to me for it all just to end in disappointment? But I have to remember that his plans are greater, that I can be sad and still have joy, because I know he is still king of my life and my heart. All I feel like is doing actually singing worship songs to him. He has great plans for my life, and I don't want to miss 1 second of the life he has for me dwelling on what didn't happen or what hasn't happened yet. So I don't know what you're waiting on, but I encourage you, don't waste your waiting. Seek after him, trust him, and know that his timing truly is the very best. Have a great day.